Hi, I'm Wilson. I'm a PhD student at the Cancer and RNA Biology Lab at SVI. My PhD is in cancer biology. I'm studying a disease called Rothman-Thomson syndrome. Patients affected by this disease are usually children, and they have high rates of osteosarcoma. Currently, there's no treatment for the disease. That's why we're interested in understanding the disease first and then developing treatment options for patients. The reason I chose SVI is two things. First, I wanted to work with Associate Professor Carl Wogley. He's one of the top scientists in the field. And second, I wanted to work in an institute that allowed me to develop as an independent researcher, and I think SVI is perfect for that. One of the things that I like about SVI is that you have several scientists working in different fields, and everyone is willing to help. As a student, you have so many questions, and it's so good to have people willing to help and collaborate. I also have a top-up scholarship which helps me to pay for my allowance expenses. If you're interested in a career in medical research, come along to SVI and talk to one of our potential supervisors, and also why not come and talk with one of us.
Welcome everyone. Hopefully you can hear me, and thanks very much for taking the time to check out what St. Vincent's Institute has to offer you as potential honors, master's, or PhD students. My name is Tom Brodnicki. I'm not only a lab head at the Institute, I'm also the Institute's student coordinator. I'd like to begin by first acknowledging the Wurundjeri people, the traditional custodians of the land on which SVI sits, and where I'm speaking from today, and also pay my respects to their elders past and present. Now, on a technical note, I hope the introduction video wasn't too glitchy. If it was on your end, please go and check out this video, and there's a whole bunch of other videos at the SVI's website, which is shown down here on the right-hand side. And as I'm sure you've been to any number of student info sessions, you probably already know how to please post your questions using the Q&A tab in Zoom. So if you have any questions that we don't end up addressing during this info session, please don't hesitate to contact me at the email address shown here on this slide. Now to kick off the information session, I'd like to hand over to the Deputy Director of our Institute, Professor Natalie.
So thanks. As Tom mentioned, I'm the Deputy Director of St. Vincent's Institute, and I'm also head of our bone cell biology unit. I wish we could be welcoming you to our institute in person. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction about what our institute is like, what makes us different to other research institutes, and a few things about why I think it's a great place to do research. St. Vincent's Institute, you may not have heard of us. We're a smaller research institute. We're on the campus of St. Vincent's Hospital, and we've been around for 60 years. And so that's 60 years of research that our workers have been doing into the cause and prevention and treatment of a range of common diseases. And I'll talk through some of them as we go. We have a team of about 200 scientists, professional staff and students. And when I talk about students, the students that we have are all research students. So some undergraduate research project students, but mostly honours students and PhD students from all over the world. And we're based on the campus of St. Vincent's Hospital, very close to the city, and that puts us within reach of a lot of clinical researchers as well. So people within our institute do both basic research, translational research, and clinical-based research. So I'm going to tell you some of the reasons why I think SVI is a great place for you to study. One of the reasons is because we're a medical research institute, making medical discoveries really is our main business. All of us are committed to the project of discovering more about how the body works, how diseases occur, and how we can solve those diseases. And this means that what we're really interested in is always finding new knowledge, making new discoveries that are publishable work, that are going to lead to new outcomes for patients in the future. That means that when you do a student research project within a medical research institute, what you're doing is research that is important. we're not going to be spending time on a project which is just going to give you a piece of paper at the end. What we want to do is to have you involved in the meaningful research that we want to spend our time on. So you'll be looking at the research questions that we know are important and that we know are going to have an impact. And that's why doing a research degree in a medical research institute is so helpful. It really gives you an idea of what the scientific discovery process is like and what the job of being a researcher entails, not just doing experiments at the bench, but all of the other parts of that job. We work on a really wide range of questions. St Vincent's Institute is involved in many types of research, and you'll hear from a lot of our lab heads today about each of these different fields of research that we do, and we use a very wide range of techniques. And we talk to each other a lot. We know that medical discoveries can come from somewhere far afield. You may be working in a team that's a specialist in one technique and are specialising on a particular project. But while you're working in that team, because we have weekly seminar series that everybody goes along to, you'll learn about other techniques that are being used by other groups within the institute. So for example, you might be working, say, in the structural biology unit on a project that has to do with Alzheimer's disease, but at the same time, you'll be learning about projects on heart disease and on cellular function in the heart, as well as molecular genetics and understanding bioinformatics and cellular genomics. So you'll get a really broad base of knowledge within our institute while you're with us. We also work together across the institute. So this is an example of this that I've picked. This is a photo of my former PhD student, Christina Vranis, in the black dress. And her research project was looking at a particular problem that we were working on, was a mouse model of a brittle bone condition. And she found that a process called autophagy was likely to be involved in the phenotype that these mice had. So to understand why these mice had really brittle bones, she began a collaboration with Toby, who's standing next to her in the photo, because he was working in a different group studying the process of autophagy. And it was through discussions that they had that they worked out there was a common link between their work and that his techniques were then able to help her in her project. And in this photo, we're all celebrating together because she'd received her first grant as an investigator in her own right after she finished her PhD. So that's just one example, but there are many about how our research teams work together, and people from one research unit will start working together with someone in a different unit to help them go further in their research. And so it's really a very synergistic way that we have of working together across disciplines and across techniques and across model systems to understand how disease works. We also get to use resources from all over Melbourne. This is Christina again with me at the Australian Synchrotron in Clayton, and that's a very large piece of equipment. Obviously, not every institute in Australia can have a synchrotron, but there is one in Melbourne, and we're one of many institutes that can make use of it. And this is true for many of our students, that they're able to use these fantastic resources that we have around Melbourne. We use the synchrotron for its infrared light. Other people within the institute use it for its X-ray beams. And there are other people within the institute who use facilities at many institutions around Melbourne doing techniques like cryo-electron microscopy, cryo-EM, if you've heard of that, also light sheet microscopy and other high-level techniques where there are very specialist pieces of equipment, but we have access to them through our research institute. We also work with other researchers all over the world. Our researchers are world famous, and I say that without any hesitation. All of the lab heads that you will meet this evening are all known around the world for the work that they do. And this means that we get researchers from around the world who come and visit us to learn from us, to learn their techniques that we have running, but also that our researchers travel the world to learn from others. This is a photo of my group, but it could be a photo of any of the groups within the Institute, out having lunch before coronavirus hit, with some of our team who've come to visit us and work with us from places like Japan, Austria, Argentina, and China. And you'll meet the Austrian one, Martha, who'll speak later about life as a student at SVI. As well as having people who've come to visit us from around the world, our researchers and our students get the opportunity to often to travel overseas, to learn methods and to meet other researchers and learn from their techniques and the research that they do. Researchers from around the world come and speak at our seminar program, especially now that we can do it online. And even though we're not able to travel as much as usual at the moment, we're still linking in with researchers all over the world, of course, through Zoom and virtually. I guess one of the other things that I'd really like you to understand about doing research at SVI is that when you're with us doing research, it really is on-the-job training. You learn alongside a team of other researchers whose main focus is doing research. You'll learn how to do techniques from people who are expert in it. Our students are not left on their own. They've always got somebody working with them, teaching them how to do the most up-to-date methods, how to interpret their data accurately, and how to understand it. The projects that you'll be working on will be important projects that are useful for the work of your whole team, so you'll learn to work together with them. And you don't just learn skills like pipetting. When you come to work with us, you learn a lot more than laboratory skills. So this is one of my former students presenting at a conference in Korea. You learn how to talk about your work, you learn how to write about your work, and you learn skills like teamwork, project management, interacting with others, how to interact with supervisors and your colleagues, and how to explain your research to others so that they can understand the importance of it. Finally, I just want to give you a personal reflection about how higher degree research in a research institute can actually be really life-changing. So some of you are probably wondering if doing a higher degree in research is really something you want to be doing. And that was certainly the situation I was in at the end of my science degree. I did an honours year because I wasn't sure what research would be like and I was kind of interested in it. So I did an honours degree a long time ago, as you can see from the photo. I did it in Adelaide, which is where I'm from, and I did it at a medical research institute called the IMVS, which doesn't exist anymore. And it was a fantastic experience for me. I learned what it was like to be a researcher, and I made the decision to go on and do a PhD in the same lab where I did my honours year. And really, for me, it was life-changing doing a research degree. So I hope that as you consider where you're going to do your research, or whether you're going to do research, that you have a great experience like I did. And I hope that you enjoy this evening getting to know some of the lab heads from our institute, hearing about the work that they do. And I hope that I get to meet you when you come and start working at our institute. So enjoy your time here this evening, enjoy meeting each of the people who you can talk to, and please join us in the Zoom rooms afterwards to have a chat and learn about the work we're doing and what you might do with us. So thank you. I'll hand you back to Tom now.
Thanks, Natalie. For those of you who've just joined us, my name is Tom Brodnicki. I'm the student coordinator here at the Institute. And what I'd like to do now is just give you a brief overview of the student programs available here at SVI. In the first instance, there's a variety of undergraduate students over the years have taken advantage of our work experience program during summer or midterm holidays. And here's a bit of inside information because you came today. We don't routinely advertise this work experience program. That's because we are looking for those undergraduate students who are self-motivated and so enthusiastic about doing research that they contact a lab head on their own and convince them to take them on. So if you're going to be a second or third year undergraduate student next year, have a look at the labs on our website, and then don't be shy about emailing a supervisor and convincing them that they should give you a shot. And while it is highly competitive, this is an excellent chance to observe and learn new skills in an actual working lab. And of course, this will give you a leg up when you decide to go for an honors project. Now, as part of the Institute's mission for teaching and training young investigators, various labs at SVI also provide undergraduate projects upon request for third-year university coursework. And a number of you may have already taken such a course. For example, those of you from ACU will know about BMSC 302, which is the Work Integrated Learning course. And those of you from Melbourne Uni will likely know about BioM 30003, which is the project-based course through microbiology and immunology department, or the Path 3444 through the pathology department. So if you have a friend who is starting second or third year undergraduate studies next year, definitely let them know about the undergraduate opportunities at SVI. Now, of course, a number of you are here because you're thinking about honors, which is an intensive one-year degree program. For most university honors programs, there's a lab-based research component, typically 75%, and a coursework component, typically 25%, which is carried out at the university department in which you are enrolled. And I'll tell you a bit more about how we do the enrollment process in a couple slides, because we're an independent organization in that regard. Now, you should also know that we host students enrolled in a Master's of Philosophy, better known as an MPhil, which is also research-based degree with additional coursework. The primary difference, as you're probably aware, is that a master's degree is a 2-year degree and an honors degree is 1. And the master's involves a higher expectation of developing both a broader range and depth of expertise in the various technical and communication skills for the research area you've chosen. And finally, we certainly like to recruit and train PhD students. Doing a PhD is an amazing experience, as Natalie touched on, and one in which you truly get a chance to develop into a scientist that knows how to develop and lead your own project with the ultimate goal, obviously, of making a major discovery that leads to better treatments for patients in the clinic. More importantly, at the end of your PhD training at SVI, you become a card-carrying expert in both a specific area of research as well as a number of experimental techniques and assays, not to mention a well-honed skill, hopefully, for effectively telling everyone about what you know how to do, family, friends, and of course, your colleagues. Needless to say, at SVI, all of us supervisors certainly find one of the more rewarding aspects of being a scientist is being able to train the next generation of successful students, which hopefully you will be. So the key question, of course, is how do you find a student project at SVI? Well, first, go to the website and click on the Student Careers button, highlighted here by the red box. That will bring you to this page, which gives you a number of options, and just click on the students shown here on the left. And you get to this page where you can find additional links to more info on the undergraduate and postgraduate programs, which I just briefly covered, not to mention various top-up awards that are available to eligible students. However, I'm just going to draw your attention to the Student Projects button and go there. And you get to this page that has all the student research projects. And this gives a brief title and the supervisors. And again, all you have to do is click on each of these titles to get the full details, as well as the email contact info for the supervisors. And today you're going to hear from about 10 different labs about their projects and be able to meet with them in the breakout rooms at the end. And I definitely encourage you to go to the breakout rooms. They're very keen to talk to you. But the last thing I should mention is while there's only 10 labs here, there's over 30 different student projects on offer via the website. Now, of course, the next thing, once you find a project and you check out the lab online, you got to contact the supervisor. And as you can see here, we have a very large variety of enthusiastic, friendly, experienced supervisors to choose from. All you have to do is find their email contact details, which will be shown with the student project, or you can also look for them under the research themes on the Institute website. You'll find them there too. One other thing to mention is that relatively often a student's project may result in a collaboration with another lab in the Institute. In that case, you actually get 2 lab experiences for the price of 1. I would also note that in all cases, a supervisor is assigned to assist your primary supervisor with your training and development. Another thing you should know is that getting your degree started at SVI is easy, mainly because we work directly with you to set up your project and degree enrollment process. One unique aspect of SVI is that we often have students from various universities enrolling in different degrees. So the hard part really is for you to do your homework, look for a project that gets you excited, and then convince the supervisor that you're the one that they should choose for that project. I'm not going to go into all the details of the various deadlines and processes of the different universities. The best thing to do is contact SVI supervisors as soon as you find a project you're excited about, then get things started as soon as you can. Because once the supervisor approves your candidature for placement at SVI, it's a fairly straightforward process from then on. In the first instance, the student coordinator, and that's me, and your now very supportive supervisor will assist you with the enrollment process. Step 2 is orientation and safety training with all the other new students starting at SVI. And this really is a great first way to get to know everyone. And then step 3 is simple, start your project in the lab. And this of course means learning new techniques under the supervision of skilled research assistants and postdocs in the lab, as well as your fellow students who've been working in the lab already from anywhere from 1 to 2 to possibly 3 years. And lastly, make sure you don't forget to take care of the assigned coursework for your degree, because typically it's much more fun to be in the lab doing the project. And again, you should also know that during your entire training period at the Institute, you'll have a dedicated admin team, an IT team, a technical lab support team, a human resource team, and then again, me, your friendly neighborhood student coordinator, all looking out for you. And the one other thing to know is that all that support is on top of everything else you're provided from the university in which you enroll. So simply put, that's a major advantage to you in doing your honors, master's, or PhD degree through SVI. To finish up my part of today's info session, I'll try to address some common questions that students are typically asking these days. And first, that's obviously foremost on everyone's mind these days is, how will COVID-19 impact on my ability or your ability to do research at SVI? Now, while clearly there has been an impact, all research at SVI is currently an approved activity, and we have been able to get all our students stage 4 worker permits who needed to be in the lab doing experiments for their projects. As for other operations, all the universities have or are in the process of finishing putting all their coursework online for honors, masters, and PhD students. So we don't think that's going to be an issue, especially starting next year. And then here at SVI, we hold all our institute seminars and training sessions online. And I know every lab has made a very concerted effort to stay active online and meet up with each other regularly with lab and supervisory meetings, not to mention the odd online social event. Perhaps this last point is one of the unexpected benefits of COVID-19, in that many of the national and international conferences can now be attended online. And we are strongly encouraging our students to participate in these types of conferences. So, because mainly it's a great way to find out very easily what others are doing and if that work is similar to your project. I'm sure you have your own specific questions, but I thought I'd also just quickly address a few of the more common ones. And of course, the best thing to do is, once you find a project and supervisor, is to ask them the same questions to get their perspective. So the first one is, do you need prior lab experience to be considered for an honors project? Well, the fact of the matter is, if you have prior research lab experience, that certainly will get you noticed. So definitely put that in your email when you go to contact the supervisor. However, it's certainly not expected that you have worked in a research lab before, although third-year practical experience in project relevant subjects such as biochemistry or immunology are certainly recommended. The second question, is there a minimum academic score, GPA, WAM, required for an SVI student placement? Typically, SVI does not approve student candidatures with a WAM or overall academic score that is below 75, but we do evaluate candidates on a case-by-case basis. Often, supervisors will look to see what your marks are for the subjects that are most relevant for the lab project. So it's best, if you like a particular project, to still contact the supervisor and then provide them with your latest statement of results along with your CV, and then we'll move forward from there. The third is, what type of students do SVI supervisors look for? I can't speak for everyone, but I think it's fair to say every supervisor is looking for an intelligent, self-motivated, conscientious, friendly person who is genuinely enthusiastic about the project and what the lab works on. I guess you didn't notice that I said you had to have lab experience, you had to be very serious-minded, even have a strong knowledge of the project background. Those aren't necessarily the most important things. Perhaps the best thing you could do is to send a very well-written email that demonstrates your writing and general communication skills, as well as conveys your maturity as a person. And question 4, what opportunities are available for student development at SVI? I'm not going to go into this too much. Martha Blank, who's the PhD student that Natalie referred to, will be covering this in the next part. However, I will highlight the fact that often projects can become affiliated with industries such as CSL here in Melbourne, or USA Biotech, or big pharmaceutical companies, so that can be a bit of fun. We also have at SVI the pancreatic islet transplantation project, and a number of students, as part of their training, actually become members of the islet isolation team and get to help isolate the islets that are then transplanted into diabetic patients. And finally, we're located on the St. Vincent's Hospital campus, so there's a unique opportunity to be exposed to a much larger network of students, scientists, clinicians, and other research disciplines. But don't take my word for it. Here's another student's perspective.
Hi, my name is Ash, and I'm a PhD student in the Metabolic Signalling Laboratory here at SVI. My work is focused on finding new treatments for type 2 diabetes. My project is multifaceted, but the main thing I'm trying to do is further understand a specific protein that's important in cellular metabolism. I came to SVI because it's one of the leading institutions in medical research. Also, the head of the unit where I work is a medical research legend and one of the pioneers in my field. I like SVI because it is a close-knit community with a strong and supportive student society. It's close to the city, Parliament Station is just around the corner, and so are the pubs, which is where we have most of our important meetings. If you're interested in a career in medical research, you can come and talk to some potential supervisors here at SVI, or you can come and talk to us students. And if we're not here, we're probably at the pub.
Hand over to Martha, who's just going to give us a snapshot of student life here at SVI. Over to you, Martha.
Thank you very much. Just putting it onto the slideshow, and hopefully everyone can see that. So thank you very much, Tom, for the introduction. I'm Martha Blank, and I am an international student, currently my 3rd year of my PhD degree. And I'm part of the bone cell biology lab from Professor Sims. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the student life that's going on at SVI. So as you have already heard, when you come to SVI and you decide to undertake research here, you have really a wide range of diseases that you can focus on. And each of those diseases have a really wide impact internationally on the science there. Something that I really appreciate about St. Vincent's is really the location. So it's very close to the CBD. It's kind of like the northeast of the CBD. It's very close to Parliament Station, just a couple of minutes walk. And very important for me is right across the street from Carlton Gardens. So if you're having a long day in the lab, which will certainly happen, it's really nice to get outside at some point and just take a short, very nice walk through Carlton Gardens, enjoy the fresh air, and and get a little bit of energy back before you go back into the lab. Another really nice thing about SVI is it is located in Fitzroy, very close to all the restaurants and nice pubs that after maybe a busy week, you can catch up with all your friends, discuss what you've done and celebrate that you survived another week and got some really good results. Students at SVI enjoy a wide range of seminars that support your career development. So it's very common to have science seminars in the institutes where you really invite people from all around the world to get to know what they're doing and maybe also pick up some new techniques. But something that's really unique is that SVI also organizes specifically for the students educational seminars. And they just give you another side of science, basically, apart from the basic science. And as Wilson Castillo already said, he wanted to work in an institute that allows him to develop as an independent researcher. And those seminars certainly help you to become an independent researcher. Furthermore, as Vanessa says, SVI is conveniently located on the campus of the St. Vincent's Hospital, where we get amazing clinical advice. So it's not only basic research that's going on here, but you can also see how it's applied on certain diseases from doctors. So something that I want to mention, because I'm part of it, is the SVI Pancreatic Islet Isolation and Transplantation Program. And as I've already mentioned, I have a background in bone biology, but I got the opportunity to be part of this wonderful program and this team. And we're doing both. We're isolating basically the cells and the islets from a pancreas, so from the organ, and we're using these islets afterwards. Something else that is really important, you're not just standing in the lab doing your research, but students are also valued as an integral part of SVI, which means that your work gets highlighted in the annual report or other reports that's coming out during the year. But you get also to communicate your research to the community, which could be donors, but we also have a couple of high school student group coming around to SVI. And it's really nice to and get to know all these kids and how excited they are about the research that you are doing. Something very important that I want to highlight because I really value that is that the PhD students at SVI are eligible to receive a top-up scholarship that is provided by our donors. And we are also given the opportunity to work closely together with those who support us and get in contact with them during various foundation events. Here you can see the annually Valentine's Day for the Love of Science event, where we can really go to our donors, get to know them. And it's really very nice to see that they are not only giving money to faces, but they're really interested in what you're doing and where you come from and why you chose to do your research. So basically, SVI fosters world-leading scientists, and you can be part of world-leading research that's going on that has a big impact internationally too. And it's a place where students have exposure to academia and industry. Just to have a few words about our student society, which is the St. Vincent Student Society. We mostly have students from the University of Melbourne, but also a couple from ACU and other universities. And we're trying to get together every month by doing monthly events. So we're doing barbecues, but also, as you can see in the first picture, we are organizing morning tea to raise some funds. So this was for the bushfire. We're also going out together here, seen during karaoke session. And lately we are also shifting our monthly events to online events to just keep catching up with each other. We also have two main events. So the left one here would be the GSA Ball, where the Student Society is compensating students half the price of the ticket. And we're just having a great evening all together, having good food, having good laughs, and also nice drinks. And also our annually retreat, where we go as a group outside of the city and leave the lab behind, and just trying to have fun together, which makes us to a strong and supportive student society. Something that we are also doing every year is the annual Biomed Link. So it's going to be the 11th time this year that we are organizing this conference. And as it says, it's a conference for students by students. And on the one hand, it gives young researchers the opportunity to gain first experiences in presenting data, but also very important abstract writing and discussion of your data. But also on the other hand, the organizing committee gets a lot of organization and management skills that we will need later on. So thank you very much for your attention.
So this ends the information portion of our virtual Student Open Day. Thank you again for attending. We certainly welcome you to stick around for the lab project pitches and breakout rooms that follow. But if you aren't able to do so, please don't hesitate to reach out by email to one of the many supervisors who are looking to find students who are as excited about medical research as we are at St. Vincent's Institute. We certainly hope to see you sometime soon. In the meantime, we wish you all the best in the next stage of your training and academic career. Bye for now from all of us at SVI.